although we do try to put on a front. We are just simple people like anybody else, trying to get help for our own lives and trying, in the name of Christ, to help other people. Now, as I stand here and look at you, you don't look like you need any help. But we're not deluded by any such illusion as that. Now, a few weeks ago, I announced that I was going to preach my annual sermon on worry, which I proceeded to do to the best of my ability. And last Sunday, I announced that I was going to preach on my annual sermon on tension and stress. Now, my wife told me she had no stress. And why should she listen to my sermon against stress? And a friend of mine named Bradshaw Mintner came up from Washington and came in to see me this morning, and he says he has no stress either. But I told him to sit still and listen to what I had to say anyway. I wonder how many people here have no stress. And I wonder how many do. Well, we got to assume that many do. And what are you going to do about it? Well, now, I get all kinds of magazines, and somebody sends me a very sophisticated slick paper magazine written in the uppity up with it style called The Avenue. I never paid any money for it, but it's a good magazine, has beautiful pictures in it, and great advertisements. And I always read the advertisements. And here's one here from a shop on 57th Street, one of the finest shops in New York City. And here it pictures a machine that has 5 dials on it. And naturally, it has a very sophisticated name. It's called Environmental Sound X. Now, what in the world that means, I would never know. Here's what this machine will do for you. It's a solid-state sound conditioner which promotes sleep and relaxation and relief from stress. It simulates white sound in quotes, for screening out unwanted noises, produces simple breaking wave patterns, random surf effects, simulates rain producing light or gentle downpour of rain. Also simulates waterfall, conditions the noise around you anywhere. Price $129.95. Now, what they promised for $129.95, we're going to give you this morning for nothing. Or at least whatever you put in the collection plate. Now, you know, I have no doubt at all that that machine will do everything it promises, and I'm half sold on purchasing it. But we don't need that, because we have available to us right this minute the greatest scientist in stress reduction the world ever knew. And he once said, "Peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid." Already, the magic of those words is not simulating peace, but actually producing peace in your mind And again he said, these things have I spoken unto you, that my peace might be in you. Wherever or whenever was there a personality who had such peace as he possessed? The peace that passeth all understanding. And he says that peace may be in you. Now it so happens that we live in an uptight, psyched up, tensed up generation. I've often thought about the patron saints. You know, the Irish are very proud of St. Patrick. He was their patron saint. And St. George is the patron saint of the British. I've often wondered, have the Americans a patron saint? And I've decided that we have. Although he's never been officially designated by the Congress of the United States. But he has been designated by the action of the people. Our patron saint is St. Vitus. We're a nervous, high-strung generation of people. I met a man on the street who said to me, do you like this town? Referring to New York. I said, well, yeah, I've lived here a long while. I wouldn't want to live anyplace else. I love this place. Well, he said, how in the world do you stand it? And I said, well, I didn't have a chance to tell him how I stood it. But he says, you know, the very air of this town is filled with tension. I looked up at the air. And I said, I'll grant you the air is pretty dirty. It's filled with all kinds of things. But there isn't any tension up there in the air. The tension is in the mind of the people who breathe the air. Now, you don't need to be tense living in New York City. You don't have to be. If you condition yourself to be the master of stress, there isn't anything wrong with the world. The world hasn't got any stress in it, except it has the kind of stress that's under control that produces energy and therefore produces results. The good old world is all right. Now, you may say, well, there's conflict in the world, like a storm at sea. Well, now, on a vast body of water like that, would you expect it to be like a mill pond all the while? There's a vastness about the sea, and a strength, and a profound greatness. And the sea has storms in order that it may correct the air conditions and provide water to make the earth fruitful. That kind of stress is great natural stress. Now, I stand here today and tell you, you do not need to live in stress at all. You can overcome it. You can live in peace and quietness. Now, I've had to struggle my way up to this point. When I was younger, I had a lot of stress. I remember what trouble I had overcoming it. But I finally decided that Jesus Christ would give me peace, which he did. Now, the other day, I was about to speak to about 10,000 people at what they call a positive thinking rally. And one of their speakers was Art Linkletter. Now, Art has no stress. He just comes out in the nicest way and talks to the people like a father, and he has that beautiful smile of his, one of the most lovable human beings I've ever known in my life. And Paul Harvey. Good evening, Americans. And the rest of the story, I like him too. He's all right. Well, he was on the program. but there was a young man there.